ready to go. All right, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for October 23rd, 2019 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the town clerk please call roll?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Wakeman?
Here.
Trustee Burak?
Here.
Trustee Smith?
Here.
Trustee Ehrlich?
Here.
Trustee Trailer?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Here.
Mayor Woodcock is absent.
Does anybody have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none. I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Citizens' comments. Citizens' comments is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the town board on any items except agenda items for which there is a public hearing. Public comment on public hearing items will occur during the scheduled public hearing. All comments should be directed to the town board. There is a 3-minute limit per speaker. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Do we have any citizens' comments?
Linda Meisner, 108 North Norma. I'm here on behalf of the Historical Society. Last year, there was an approved budget item for a number of items that are needed in the for the Historical Society in the Heritage House. One of them was electrical outlets in the basement. Hasn't happened. Move the water heater. Hasn't happened. Finish the basement walls. Hasn't happened. Shelving, storage and display equipment. Hasn't happened. Interior window coverings, we did get those done, and we did it, and we paid for it. Now, I have offered on numerous occasions to contract with an electrician or a contractor to get these items done, and have been told that since it's a town building, that the town has to take charge in doing that. We'd like to know when that's going to happen because we're getting desperate. I have some pictures I need to show you regarding the condition of the Heritage House itself. These are the exterior of the exterior, and I apologize for the quality of the pictures because I took them with my cell phone Sunday after our program. And what you'll see there is the condition of the siding on the south side of that building. The place is in disrepair, and something needs to happen, and it isn't getting any better. So what we'd like to know is, number one, when and if we're going to be able to get the things done that were requested in the budget last year. And the second item, which I hadn't brought up before, but the second item is that we don't have a lease and haven't had since 2017. It was turned over to the former town administrator and the former town attorney for revision. And there it sits. So
Okay. Just for clarification, didn't we budget $9,000 for you?
that's correct. That's
For
correct.
To spend in 2019?
No, 2018. Or, yeah, it was for this year.
2019.
That's
Okay.
correct. But you're in another budget year, and so far,
Okay.
we've gotten nothing.
Town administrator, could we have some follow-up on what's done, what's not, where we're at for the next meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a handyman. Our staff was a little pressed for time, so we hired an outside handyman. He came in, his name is Ches Salazar, and he put the cables up on the porch line. He fixed different things that needed fixing outside. We looked at moving the hot water heater. There's some problems with moving the hot water heater, and pretty much need to talk with you on that. We were thinking of raising it in that
Yeah,
closet.
which is going to serve no purpose whatsoever, because
What's
as soon
that?
as, it'll serve no purpose whatsoever as far as making that closet available for storage. Because if that water heater springs a leak, which they do,
Okay.
I'll work with the board and
Can you
have-
get a meeting with them and get
I
that
will.
worked out?
Yes, ma'am.
that would be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, as you can see from the pictures, though, that the building needs some help.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Linda.
Do we have any other citizens' comments?
Oh,
Oh, we've
boy.
got a lot of them. All right.
Hi, my name is Sophia Nier. I am on the First Lego Lead City Shaper 2019. My team is the Droids and at KQA Knowledge Quest Academy. And my teammates are Keith, Brian, Emerson, and Cadence.
In the first LEGO League, there are 3 parts: the core values, the project, and the robot games. We are here to show you the idea we came up with for the project. The theme is how people interact with buildings and places.
We are doing park safety. We identified the need for a safe place for the people at the park for emergencies, like, for example, tornadoes, hail, and stranger danger. We would have a volunteer to have their house be a safe house next to the park. The volunteer would have to go through a background check and training with the police. Their house would get inspected, so we are thinking of Safety Sam. Hello, everyone. Safety Sam is the sign, and there are pamphlets. Well, there are going to be pamphlets in his pocket, so they know where the safe house is. There's another Safety Sam at the safe house. The volunteer will contact the police if or when needed.
Thank you for listening to our idea. We are bringing this idea to the competition. Any questions?
No, but it sounds like a fine idea to me.
So it would be a safe house right next to each park.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yes.
Oh.
Questions? Well, I want to thank you very much. Good job. Okay, any other citizens' comments? Okay, hearing none. Public comment is closed. Okay, is there any discussion or comments on the minutes of our last meeting? Okay. I'll take a motion to approve.
Move to approve the minutes from 9/25/2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain. I was not at that meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got acknowledgement of the list of bills. Does anybody have any questions or concerns on the list of bills? I have none. I know, you're shocked. I signed all the checks. Why would I have questions? No? Nothing on that. Okay. We will move over to the town administrator's report. Town Administrator Tim Singwall, please update us.
The road milling and slurry seal has been completed. It has completed without any complaints that I've heard of from school or trash collection. Things went pretty smooth. Tammy handled the coordination with the different entities that would be involved in that and kept things on the website. The company got door hangers, and on the crack ceiling, there were some issues that we were able to address prior to the larger project, and when we got to where we were closing all the streets and whatnot, it went pretty good. County Road 46 is moving along fairly well. They're hoping to get some sidewalks poured maybe still this week or definitely next week, and then they're hopeful to get the road base in and start working on the asphalt before the asphalt goes away in November. They feel pretty confident that they're going to be able to finish on schedule. We do have some issues with Excel. I talked with some of their upper level people the last few days about getting their folks out to put the power lines under Alice so that they can put the poles up for the street light. I believe that's happening fairly expeditiously at this point. There was a tree trimming company out there removing lots of branches off of those trees so that they can access those poles in their buckets safely. Talking with the company that's putting the poles up, they feel pretty comfortable that they should have those done by the end of the month. The Hillsborough project is, the reservoir engineering is still on hold. We're waiting to try and figure out how to deal with the Army Corps of Engineers adding additional requirements to a historic water source for agriculture. Everyone that's been contacted on that says that that's never happened before in the state, and they don't know what's going on down there. We're looking at a meeting down in Denver with the Army Corps of Engineers to try and figure out what their concerns are and what their standing is. Why would they have an issue with that? Basically, it's when you take the silt out of the bottom and you put it on the hillside, they're worried that it would get back down into the river. If we put it on the hillside and it drains down into the reservoir, it's there at the reservoir and would settle, and it's already coming out of the reservoir, so it's not really impacting anywhere else. So we're thinking that there's just some confusion or misunderstandings. So Leonard and the water attorneys are working very hard at getting a meeting set up. The RO plant, we had a little bit update in the work session. There is water production going on there. I think Don stated it was 118 gallons a minute is what they can run through there. There are still, being a first generation system for municipal water sources, there's lots of little things that come up, and they're working through all that, and Don and his staff have been getting trained by the Frontier Group in order to handle the process. Works Department has all of the snow plow equipment up to date and operative. We picked up the final ice shield, or the sandbox. What do you call that? The ice cutter? No, the product you put out there. Ice slicer. The ice slicer, everything's set up. All the little units have been converted over to snow. They're all set and ready to go. They've got their routes all figured out, their teams figured out, and if we do get some snow, I feel that we're in very good shape on that. We do have a finance director that'll be starting on November 4th. So that'll be before our next meeting. So we'll have him at the meeting to introduce you. I am actively in the process of setting up interviews for works directors. I've got 4 or 5 good applicants. One that I feel real comfortable with is out of the state of Washington, and we may have to work out a deal on some transportation to have him come in and do an interview if all of his references and everything else check out. Cheryl and I both did a phone interview with them, and very highly qualified for the position. So that position could be solved fairly soon. He's one of those guys that's gone into retirement and is looking to get out of a rainy area and come to sunny Colorado. So it might be a fairly quick situation if he was one of our people that we selected. I think that covers everything. Lots happening, lots getting done. All of the I'll add that all the works and water department vehicles have been in for a maintenance check, and we've got a baseline of odometer readings, hours, and oil changes, filter changes, and just good service right now. And then we have service schedules being set up for all of the equipment. Trucks, dump trucks, lawnmowers, bobcats, everything. So a lot of advance has been made in that category.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have nothing on the consent agenda, so we'll move right into the action agenda. Item 10A is a public hearing to consider a request to amend the official zoning map and ordinance number 776. Do I open the public hearing now? Okay, the time is 6:47 and I'm opening the public hearing. Sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem and trustees, as mentioned before you tonight, is consideration of approval for the ordinance of 776. It's a rezone on a 2.36 acre parcel from single-family residential R1 district to agricultural estates AE district, and the location of the property is 9333 County Road 52. The land use existing currently is that it's a residential, and the surrounding land uses to the northwest and east are all vacant. They're owned by Kerr-McGee, and they are zoned R-1. To the south, across County Road 52, is a Mill Iron 5 Ranch Estate subdivision, which is zoned AE. Current zoning of this property is R1, and the proposed zoning is AE. The comprehensive plan designates the area for residential development. Per the requirements of the Milliken Municipal Code, notice was mailed to surrounding property owners within 300 feet of the proposed development via first-class mail on October 2nd, 2019. Likewise, the public hearing was published in the Greeley Tribune on October 2nd, and the property was also posted 15 days in advance of the public hearing as required by the ordinance. A public hearing was held by the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 16th. For background, Jennifer Therian and Levi Lumen purchased the parcel from the town of Milliken on a bargain and sale deed in July of 2019. The property has a residential structure, agricultural structures such as a pole barn and corrals. The owners are requesting rezoning of the property in order to enable keeping of an animal unit, a goat. Milliken's municipal code allows for 2 goats per acre in the AE district. The applicants have not indicated additional development plans at this time other than to rehabilitate the existing residential structure. If approved, an amendment to the official zoning map will be made and recorded. For findings of fact, for changing the official zoning map, they're stated in section 16.3, 540D of the municipal code. There are 6 of them. Staff feels that number 2 applies to this particular request, which is to rezone an area or extend the boundary of an existing district because of changed or changing conditions in a particular area or in the town generally. So staff finds that the application meets the criteria for 163540D2 because agricultural zoning exists to the south across County Road 52, and the amendment to the zoning map will extend an existing zoning district to the subject property. As mentioned, the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on October 16th. There were no citizens present to speak in opposition to the amendment, and the Planning Commission forwarded a due pass recommendation to the Board of Trustees. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the Ordinance 776 to rezone the parcel from R1 to AE, and there are some exhibits attached as well as possible motions for you to consider, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just out of curiosity, what was it zoned a long time ago, since it had all those barns and stuff on it?
I believe that it was zoned R1 at the time it was annexed.
Are you talking about previous to that?
And
Yeah.
prior to that, it was in the county.
Oh, it was just agriculture
Right.
in the county.
Any other questions?
Do you have more copies of the attachments?
Yes.
The map and the memo we didn't
This is the
get it.
location. And the box. This is the framework map. It shows the land use classification, and then you've got the zoning map, which
Do you have
shows.
more copies of these? We didn't have.
He's got one. You just don't have one, is that right?
Yeah, there's missing one.
We missed one.
Oh, my apologies. I can't count it.
And this,
Okay.
the-
Oh. Full sparrow.
That's something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that's something different.
I'm just saying, we
Yeah.
didn't have enough copies up here.
All right. Any other questions from board members?
Does anybody else want to see these?
No, they were attached right
No,
there.
I know where it is. That's
Yeah.
curious. I just want to go.
Yeah. Do we have any public comment?
Yeah, that's it. That's my good.
No public comment? All righty. The time is 6:50. Okay, the time is 6:52, and I'm closing the public comment. Any further discussion from board members?
Go ahead, Holly.
It sounds like they just want a goat on their property.
Yeah. A goat.
Yep.
So,
Special goats.
Any problem with the goat?
I believe it's a fainting goat.
Oh,
What?
it's green.
The applicant's here, but it's a fainting goat.
as long as it doesn't chase away your bald eagle, we're good.
No, I don't think so. I'll startle him.
Well, we'll have to come out and see the goat. Any other comment, questions?
I just have a question regarding whether it affects tax revenue for the town by making the change.
I didn't hear the question. Was it for me or was it for the attorney?
Either one of you, if it affects the tax revenue for the town, the property tax revenue?
I don't know what the application is. I think it might lower it a little bit, but this was previously known as the Han Martinez property, and the board considered a sale to the property, knowing that there would be a fainting goat on it someday, and that the board suggested that they may want to work with the applicant on that.
I remember that.
And I'd like to point out, in the future, I'd like to call it the Jennifer and Levi property. It's easier to say.
Okay,
We're the fainting goat property.
just call it the goat property.
Goat property,
Any other questions? No? Okay. Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Or do we need to make a
Make a
motion?
motion.
Yeah, we need to move to approve.
All right, I might have skipped something there. I'll take a motion.
I move to approve ordinance 776 to rezone a 2.36 acre parcel located in the portion of the southwest quarter of Section 27, Township 5 North, Range 67, west of the 6th principal meridian, Town of Milliken, County of Weld, Colorado, and to amend the official zoning map of Milliken for said property from single-family resident R1 to agricultural estates AE.
Second.
Now town clerk will have a vote.
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich?
Yes.
Trustee Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Trailer?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Okay, item 10B, consideration for approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Front Range Fire and Rescue, Town Attorney Matthew Gould.
Yes, I apologize, there's not a memo to accompany this. Still getting used to things here. This is an intergovernmental agreement that has been before the board before and was discussed in the work session 1 or 2 meetings back. The changes that were recommended by the board at that time have been incorporated. You have 2 versions. One is the proposed final version with one qualification I'll mention in just a second, and the other one is simply showing the changes since the prior version. I am going to recommend, after consulting with Pepper, one change. It's actually a single sentence that I'd like to have added to 2 sections. And I will read that to you, and then I'll explain what this is all about. I'm going to recommend that we add, after the 4th section, in sections 3B and 3C, the following. The fire district shall pay all amounts to be paid as a result of the 502 proceeding, including amounts paid for discharge of any portion of a bond obligation. The reason that that is significant is that we're talking about a scenario in which property is being excluded from one district and added to another, and there is a possibility that there could be a bond obligation that is backed by that property. So one of the things that a court order will address is payment of any portion of that bond obligation that's being discharged as that property is being removed. So that's why we recommend the inclusion of that language. Otherwise, what's in front of you is what's proposed.
Question.
Yes.
So I was under the assumption that this was going to be redone, brought back to a work session with you guys before it was brought to the board for a vote. Have you guys had a chance to look this over?
We have, sir, just not those additions that the attorney suggested just now.
Do you have any comments on it?
We would just need to have our counsel take a look at the proposed rewording.
So I guess if we're going to do rewording, I would make a motion that this be tabled until Front Range has a chance to look it over and bring it back to us.
I second it.
I agree.
Yep.
Is that an official motion?
Yeah,
said
it's a
motion.
motion.
Okay, town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Trailer?
Yes.
Trustee Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think we clarified. Will we have that come back for our next board meeting?
Whenever you guys will meet with your...
So we'll...
Whenever they get it back to us.
Okay.
We'll get that out to them right away, and I apologize for that last-minute change, but we did believe that it was fairly important.
Okay.
Okay. Item 10C, consideration for approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Front Range Fire and Rescue regarding impact fee. Do we need them to consider that as well and come back, or are we ready on that one?
Does this work in conjunction with the,
These two are related.
so,
There's changes.
I guess if they are related, I would make a motion that we table 10C also and bring it back with 10B for approval.
Second it.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Ehrlich?
Yes?
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Trailer?
Yes.
Trustee Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Guess if we keep tabling everything, we'll have fast meetings. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry
about all that.
Apologies. Okay. All right, moving on, we've got a discussion item. We've got an application from Bernadette Stevenson to serve on the Planning Commission as an alternate. Is Bernadette with us tonight? No. Do we have to vote on the alternate?
You would have to vote her in, yes. And so I didn't know if you want to discuss, if everybody knew what the alternate was, that it was made a part of our code in order to do that. Since planning commission members are difficult to obtain, and so having an alternate that can attend the meetings, but not have a vote unless there's an absent member.
Okay. So will this appear on our next agenda for voting?
I can ask her to attend at that one, but I didn't know if you had any discussion. I think last time I kind of threw them at you by placing them on the action agenda and did not want to do that again.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
So in order to run for a board seat, you have to be a resident of Milliken for how long?
For a town board seat?
Yeah.
I believe it's 1 year.
So,
Yeah.
I know the last time we appointed somebody on the planning commission, we appointed somebody that was here like 40 days in Milliken, and I see this application has been a resident since July 19th
I
of
don't think
19.
I don't believe there is a residency timeline for planning commission though.
Anybody on the board think that we need a residency requirement to serve on planning commission? Since that plays a key in the future of the town?
Well, if they just moved here, they're probably going to be here a little while.
Not necessarily.
She lives in Pioneer.
I've seen people, companies move people into town to get votes done, and then as soon as the vote's done and out, they move people out of town.
I don't see it being as much of an issue with an alternate.
But presumably they would move into
Just
the
food for
position
thought.
if there was a
Yeah.
vacancy.
If I might just say one thing, and there may not be that requirement, partly because most of the items that truly impact the town are moved on to the town board for their approval. The planning commission does not have the final vote on those. So all they're truly doing is passing it on with a recommendation to the town board.
I just want to throw it out there. Make it-
Yeah.
We can discuss it later.
Yeah. I think we have a hard time getting people, so. Do you have any interest?
That's all I have.
Thank you. All right. That discussion item is over with, so we'll move on to the information agenda. 12A, pool progress. Mr. Clint Dudley, could you come up to the podium and Give us an update.
Handout for everybody here, just to kind of put information all along. Thanks for having me for just a couple of minutes today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clint.
Before we get to this, though, I just want to give you guys, since I'm here, a little update. So we're in the process of finishing our budget for next year, and during that process, we go over previous year's numbers, and I thought some numbers would be interesting to you guys since it's your pool, and you would like to know kind of just how things have gone. So our attendance for this year at the Milliken pool was 8,938 people, which is a record by 2,000 participants over last year. So a pretty significant increase. There's a couple of reasons for that, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But we also had swim lessons there for the first time in the last 5 years, and we had 138 participants, which was our capacity. That's all we could actually have. So that's fantastic. And then this year we had 36 pool parties, which is almost double what we had last year. So it was a pretty good year for the pool this year. A couple things kind of came together to make that happen. One was the Valley Pool has been closed for remodel over the summer the last 2 years, and we've had a lot of Platteville, Gilchrist, and LaSalle residents come to the pool. My feeling is that they'll continue to come to the pool even when that pool is open. That is an indoor facility. But next year I see maybe a little bit decline in participation. Number one, there's a fantastic pool opening at the YMCA next year, and it's going to open in May. And that's going to be a pretty stiff competition. But I think that'll settle down, and we'll see those participants come back. On the budget side of things, we were open longer this year. We had more night swim, longer daytime hours, and longer Saturday hours. And we had more staff. We hired a full-time janitorial staff this year, and we hired an actual experienced pool manager this year. But the total cost to operate the pool, the subsidy this year was about $85,000, which was almost double the years it had been in the past. So pretty significant subsidy this year. Yes?
Is there an opportunity next year for Sunday operation, or
I would say unlikely. It's always possible, and it's something that we always review, but several things that I've told you in the past. One is a very, very popular pool rental day, which requires very little staff to run. Leading to the staff thing, I typically wouldn't have enough staff. If we were going to be open on Sundays, we would probably want to be closed on some other day. And our experience in the past is that Sundays are less popular than a weekday, and weekdays are very busy. Saturdays are not very busy. Weekdays are very busy. But and staff's going to be worse next year. So it was difficult to get enough lifeguards for all the coverage and the additional hours that we did this year, just here within the community. And next year we're going to have the Y to compete with for the same pool of applicants, and we're also going to have the Valley Pool, which will be open again, and we're going to be competing against. So I don't see next year Sunday being an opportunity to be open, but it's something that we know is on a wish list for you guys, and it's something that we address every year.
So the pool parties usually take place on Sunday?
Yes, and they require very minimal staff to operate.
Okay.
Yes.
I see.
That is being used. I wasn't sure that's what you said. So
Yes. Yeah, we can operate a pool party with 2 people, and we can have 3 in a row with just those two lifeguards, and we typically have 5 people in 2 shifts, so I would need 10 lifeguards to be open for a day. So it's a pretty big difference.
I interrupted. Please continue.
I think that was it for that part.
Okay.
Yeah, just a review of how the year went. It was awesome. It was really a very smooth year. No significant equipment breakdowns, which is amazing. That never happens. But yeah, it was a smooth year.
Yeah.
But transitioning into what you guys have here. So being sensitive to the fact that this is your asset, I wanted to go over in detail just a little bit more as far as what the actual pool addition is going to look like. In particular, the front page is the detailed budget, and this is the budget that we have signed a contract with a contractor for. There's a lot of very boring stuff. I'm sure you guys have looked at these plenty. There's a lot of very boring stuff. The pictures are in the back. They're way more exciting. But the only thing in the budget that is incorrect is on the second page towards the bottom where we have some pool options. Those are all options with the leftover funds. But we had budgeted to upgrade the HVAC equipment at that facility, and rather than do that at this time, which it does need to be done, we're going to redirect those funds to redoing the mechanical system to the baby pool so that it's actually functional. So that $40-some thousand is going to be put into the baby pool rather than put in HVAC. But other than that, this is a pretty accurate budget, and it reflects what's in the pictures that you'll see next. So if you want to turn the page, we have 2 sets of renderings. Our copier is horrible at printing color, but you get the basic picture. I will say that the architect took some creative license in kind of some of the decorations. I think there's probably 40-some deck chairs on there. We'll probably have around 10. They're $1,000 a piece, so I don't think I'll have 40 of them. But in general, you get the basic picture. It's front and back. You get the basic picture of what it looks like, the size of how it's going to fit, where it's going to fit. It's a rather large pool, being a competitive lap pool. The thing you can't see in the rendering, which I did include on the back, but I think you've seen before, is the pool, which will be in the middle. It'll be in the middle of the east side of the deck. It's 11 foot high, wraparound slide. Pretty neat. It'll be good for that age group. And again, the budget is something that, we don't need to go over line item tonight, but it's there for you, and if you guys have questions, you can relay those to Tim, and I talk to Tim often, and he could reach out to me, and we could discuss those.
Is this a 25-meter pool?
Yes, correct.
So will you be having a swim team and
We will.
competitions?
We will. So we had a pretty popular swim team at the Roosevelt pool, and we were disappointed that we couldn't get this one done and still keep that one open, and they didn't line up. So we had to take the year off. But we had 20-some kids, and we're pretty competitive. We travel all around the state competing, and we were never able to host at Roosevelt because of the condition of that pool, and we absolutely will host at this pool. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. What's the depth?
4 feet to 6 feet.
So how many lifeguards are you going to need if the regular pool is open, the lane pool will be open at the same time?
It will.
During the summer?
A majority of the time, yes. And we may stagger some of the hours depending on what's going on. We may have some adult lap swim early in the morning when the other pool's not open, and we may have evening family swim in the small pool when the other one's not open. But in general, yes, they'll both be open. And they'll require 6 up lifeguards for each one, and they'll require 3 rotating lifeguards, plus a manager and a front desk. So we'll be anywhere from 10 to 12 employees when we're open at any time.
So there'll be an adult on staff at all times?
Yeah, so how we operated this year was unique. Something that we hadn't had in the past was we have an actual CPO certified, I am CPO certified, but CPO certified pool manager, certified pool operator on staff this year. Her name's Krista Frank. She's a teacher in the regular time of the year, and she's been our manager this past summer, and she was amazing. So she'll be there. And then we have kind of our junior managers who are all adults, but they're young adults, and they did still need some supervision. But they're capable of handling the facility in the absence of the manager. Yes.
And is the baby pool productive, or?
I don't know.
A lot of use.
No, well, I don't know. So it's we know that it's never operated consistently or correctly. So I can't say, I haven't had people pounding down my door because it doesn't work. And I think that if it was popular, that they probably would. We did look at alternatives of reworking that into, say, a splash pad or some other things. But the original plumbing that's ran from the pump house out to that is relatively small, and it wouldn't be we'd have to rip the deck up and run new plumbing and new pumps. And I think a splash pad would be amazing in Milliken at some point. I just think that's not the best use of funds right there. I think the best use of funds is to rework that pool and then look to the future of adding a splash pad on someplace else.
I see.
Yeah.
What about turning it into a barbecue area?
There's plenty, so we could, but there's plenty of room there. That deck is huge to have a barbecue area. And you guys installed those new shades, which are super popular, and we have barbecues there as well. If we didn't have that deck area, I would say maybe that would be a good use.
So when do you hope to break ground?
I don't know. So our original plan was July of this last year.
Right.
And we're still waiting through the permit process. We haven't received a permit yet. So I think we've missed this season. We won't be able to do much of that concrete work. So we'll probably start in March. So then it would be done in July.
That's your hope.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
can't start in February?
No. I'd rather start now than start in February.
Ground's still a little frozen in February.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're pouring concrete underground, it's a little sensitive, so.
okay.
What pool company are you using? I'm sorry.
I think it's called Diamond Pools. I could have told you 6 weeks ago, but I would have a hard time telling you today. I think it's called Diamond Pools, I'm pretty certain.
Where are they at?
They're out of Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I interviewed the gentleman, and he moved here from California about 8 years ago, and he built private Hollywood-style pools in California. And he moved here 8 years ago, started a new business, and he does commercial pools. That's what he specializes in now, so. Lots of hotel pools.
It would be Milliken's Hollywood pool.
Hope so.
That's what it looks like in the rendering. Okay.
Oh, good.
Is that it?
I think,
Is the system winterized over there?
The pool system is winterized. The restrooms are not winterized yet, and they will be winterized between Wednesday and Friday of next week.
Thank you.
Yes.
won't have any more holes in the wall? No more holes in the wall, no more broken pipes, it'll all be fixed, right?
I don't know. So we spent $6,000 repairing the plumbing that was already repaired last year that your plumbers had done. So I don't know. I think that would be a constant battle with that pool. We've probably spent $20,000 repairing broken pipes on top of the money that you guys have spent. So I wouldn't make any promises.
Part of the $93,000 in repairs we did last year, you've already had to fix again?
Oh, yeah. So we had to rip out drywall, redo plumbing. We had to redo we had to redo the valves in the showers. We're stripping out all of the floor. The epoxy floor wasn't done correctly, and it's all coming up. So that's about a $9,000 job. We're taking all that out.
Didn't we have a warranty on that? Was the work warranted?
Yeah, it was warranted for a year. It's past a year.
Are we sure it's past a year?
Yeah, I had a discussion with Bill. We've been through this already several times, so.
Water into the beach.
What?
Water into the beach.
Irritates me.
Or down the drain.
That's not right.
That doesn't seem right at all.
That was the spring of 18. You guys should have receipts that were sent to you in that one packet.
I don't think I
Say what?
receipts.
Is it because of the heat in the facility?
Well, yeah. So two things. One is the heat in the facility is not to the point where you could ever leave water. We could run the heat all year round, but you still couldn't leave water in the pipes because the heat isn't sufficient enough. It's actually the insulation isn't sufficient enough to keep the pipes from bursting. That's not possible. But the problem with the plumbing has been that it was done in such a way that there was valves put in certain ways that it blocked the way that we would normally winterize the facility. So when we go to blow things out, water wasn't coming out where it probably should have. And then when we went to power up the lines, pressurize the lines this year, there were additional leaks. But we had a plumber come in and he fixed everything and he put some new valves, the correct directions, how they were supposed to go, and we'll have no more problems. So, but in the 18 years that pool's been here, I think it's probably had a leak every year that it's been put back up. So, yeah, it's a very unusual seasonal pool. The building is a pretty large asset in comparison to the tiny little pool. Very expensive to maintain. But we've learned its quirks, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the pool very much. So.
I just can't believe we didn't have any recourse if it wasn't installed correctly. Okay,
So
I'm
you say
frustrated.
they had dead-end lines, and when you blew it out, that
Yeah.
the water stayed in those spots?
And we didn't know because water came out other spots,
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The epoxy floor is being taken care of. Part of it is in this budget right here with the donation for the Metro District that's being redone. So that'll be really nice.
All the other repairs that the town did, are they falling apart too?
I wouldn't say that. The tiles held up well. We did have to take some tiles out to fix the plumbing. And I know Bill was in the process of finding the codes for the tiles so I could reorder that. And obviously I'll have to touch base with somebody else that we can get that done. I'll talk to Tim and we can figure that out. But other than that, I think things are fine. Yeah.
Okay, well, can you maybe...
We're redoing, so some of the gutter work was done, and some of it wasn't done, but in this budget, we're redoing all of the gutters on the facility. And the poor gutter system's what caused some of the damage to the eaves and the soffit and stuff like that. So when we completely redo the gutters, that'll be done this spring. That'll help too, so.
Anything else you want to bring up?
Anything else?
No.
No?
You sure?
Is that good?
Thanks, Clint.
So
Yeah,
much.
we are excited, yeah. Yeah, we'll invite you guys to the grand opening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you, Clint.
2019?
Or 18, sorry. That's 2018. Is when the work was
Just
done.
over a year.
And here's the name.
What?
The epoxy.
Our
board.
public works director signed off on it.
That's why we had a toilet reinstalled in the middle of the women's bathroom with no privacy around it. Sorry. Off discussion.
Move on.
All right, I'll move on now. All righty, we have a couple of written reports in our packet. We have the court update. Looks like a police report may be coming next meeting. So we're down to a progress report on the floodplain violations by Town Planner Pepper McClanahan.
Mayor Pro Tem and trustees, we had an additional update from what is in the report in your packet. Yesterday, the PD, in conjunction with the town attorneys, did issue a citation to Mr. Sparrow on numerous counts of the municipal code. And if you have any questions, I'll refer that to Matt.
So we had a problem with some,
Black goo.
a new complaint of dumping
Smelly
Substance.
black.
Smelly black goo.
and
We had a report. We actually got a call today, actually, that there was a tanker up there. So I went up, parked in the right-of-way of 257, waiting for Chief to come up. And the chief did have a conversation with the individual in the truck as well as the owner of the company. And I'm not sure where it went from there, so.
did he identify the substance, Chief? Could you come up?
So yes, I did go out there. I did talk to the owner. It's potholing mud that they were dumping out there. Yeah.
What is that?
And
What's that?
I'm not sure, maybe Keith can explain potholing mud. So what they do is I think they use hydrovac when they're digging out for pipe, instead of digging with a backhoe, because I think there's a new law, regulations that came in, so they can't dig too close to the pipe, so they use a hydrovac with water. So what they do is they suck all that out, and they were dumping it out there. So what I think's happening is he's trying to fill another area up there with the potholing mud. So the reports of black sludge and black stinky mud we went out there, and actually the code enforcement officer and I went out there later on after I talked to the owner. He took us to the site. He was out there, took us to the site. There's no black sludge mud or anything like that, and it's potholing mud, so.
So it's an unfounded complaint, or do we have an EPA problem?
I'm not sure about the EPA, if they've been contacted, but as far as the black sludge, stuff like that, there's nothing of that sort out there. But he is dumping mud out there to try to cover, I think he's trying to fill in that gully right there, that ravine. I think that's what he's trying to do, but we told him he had to stop. There was a cease and desist order. So
And we
that's...
just don't know where this product, whatever you want to call it, mud, is coming from.
Yeah, it's coming from, what the story I got from the owner is Mr. Sparrow put up a sign saying that he needed fresh fill dirt. So they called Mr. Sparrow on the fresh fill dirt, said, we got some dirt for you. So there was some sort of agreement made between Sparrow and the company. So that's why they were out there dumping.
So this person you spoke to, he was driving the hydrovac truck,
I spoke to him, told him,
and the substance came out of the hydrovac truck?
yeah, the substance did come out of there.
Okay.
But later on, as soon as he left, we went back out there to do a little bit further follow-up on that little site. The owner was out there driving around, so he stopped us. We talked to him. He explained to us what was going on, but he wasn't aware of any cease and desist orders, anything like that. He wasn't aware of any of that, so he was just
He was
dumping
hired
dirt
by
out there.
Sparrow to just bring in some fill.
Yeah, and he was getting paid for the dirt.
Okay.
It sounds like something else that needs more research. We need to know what it is that was being dumped, if it's environmentally hazard, it was being brought up from another area.
So I'll draw this to the attention of the prosecutors. Mr. Sparrow and his company, a citation was issued to both, I believe, and they're due in court on December 4th. So we'll get this rolling. You know, we can go to district court to enforce the cease and desist if we need to. That's probably a more expensive option than prosecuting him in municipal court, but it is an option, so we can explore that. He just doesn't seem to pay any attention to anything he gets from the town, and that's got us all scratching our heads.
Okay, because he's been assessed a few times.
Yes.
Yeah,
He doesn't listen to anything we tell him.
right.
But the owner did say that he was going to stop taking his trucks out there until he heard further, so,
Owner of the hydrovac
Yep.
company? Thanks,
Yeah.
clear
yeah.
So this second paragraph is a totally different thing?
So to clarify, the mud is being deposited up the hill from the floodplain in a ravine that may be in our Hillside Protection Overlay District. I'm working with Matt to see, you know, if we need to pursue that. So that's separate from the fill and removal of the fill that was in the floodplain down the hill from this, that, you know, is a different but related situation. And I don't know, I haven't had a chance to get a hold of a couple of the other agencies, state and federal, to see if there are any permits that are needed for discharging into a ravine or discharging this mud. But I will be following up on that the next day or so. I'm waiting for a call back from one of the agencies, and there's another one I need to contact, so. Like Matt said, there's more research needed, and we'll...
Just so the board understands, there is a degree of severity to the municipal court prosecution because this is a continuing, these are continuing actions, and the municipal code allows us to charge him separately for every day. There's, I don't remember the final count, but it's well over 1,000 counts of violations. So he's looking at well over 6 figures in potential penalties. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the court will impose those fines to that degree, but that is a source of leverage for us, not only to, you know, to get him to pay for the expenses the town has incurred, but also to get this cleaned up.
And we're still tracking those expenses closely, aren't we? Including our town.
So we have set up a separate matter for legal expenses that deal with this matter, and I think Pepper's been doing the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll need your invoices to add to the spreadsheet.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, or comments?
What about this camp trailer? What's that all
Yeah.
about?
Go ahead.
So that's another potential violation of the municipal code. Our ordinance only allows occupancy of a trailer or a camper when there's been an active building permit pulled and during the construction of a residence or a commercial structure. And so we'll be looking into that as well.
Is it one camper, or is he starting a campground?
It's one camper that is skirted. There's, it's very definitely being occupied. There's barbecue there, chairs,
Power source? Is
water
there a power
jugs.
source there?
That I did not observe. I'll have to check the picture, but I don't believe so. So it's probably, a self-contained camper with a generator.
And
And like I
where's
said,
the-
it's skirted, so I'm not sure how the wastewater's being,
That's going to be my question. What are they doing with the sewer?
don't know.
Hydrovac truck.
No, let's hope not.
Do you know how long it's been there?
I don't. We just cited it from the day that it was observed and documented.
Is it on that picture?
So would FEMA have to come and reassess this part, the second paragraph?
It's not within the floodplain.
Okay.
However, there may be some other considerations, connection to waterways or, we're looking into that. It's, in our code, the only violation that's there that I'm aware of is the hillside protection overlay zone if this property is within that overlay district. However, there may be some other agencies that govern this as well, and we'll find out if there are. He's changing a drainage for sure.
Yeah.
If he's filling in a ravine.
All right, any other discussion?
I have one other item that isn't on the agenda, but it's a quick update that trustee Wakeman asked for. I do have the final fee forgiveness for the Habitat House. I believe that there may be one other one for the detached garage. They needed 2 different permits, but for the house, the total fee forgiveness granted by the town was $1,384.61, so it came in less than the estimate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business that anybody wants to bring up? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
All in
Second?
favor?
Is that a second? Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:32, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.